4.
Nice work. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Danielle, Ben, Kirby. Awesome job. Morning, everybody. Good morning to you. My name's Dylan. Welcome to Peace United. This is an awesome place to be on a Sunday morning, or really any time of the week. I spend much more time here than just a Sunday morning, and I'm glad to have you. My pronouns are he, him, and his. If you're visiting us this morning, there's a green bookmark in the seat pocket. You can scan it or you can write on it, and we'll get in touch with you afterwards. And there's also an orange card there, and that's to share any prayers that are on your heart. You can drop those in as the offering comes by. The same thing with those green cards, and we will have wonderful Pastor Sherry lift those up in prayer a little bit later on in the service. We're in our 4th week of our series here at Peace called Ice to Blooms. And so the idea is, what are we uncovering as the ice melts here literally in Rochester? I look out my window often and see like the trees are blossoming, which is pretty special. And it's super green right now. So it's been a pretty uplifting time of year for me. So I wonder what's thawing out for you. What do you see and what do you feel in your heart? What has thawed? And what's blooming right now? We're taking a look at our past, especially here at Peace, throughout this series as well. We've got this cornerstone, which you may be able to see behind the communion table, which is pretty special. And there's some history available in the narthex, thanks to Debbie Ione for getting that stuff out. Thanks to Brian and Cheryl Winters for decorating in here. So there's a lot of cool things that you can learn just kind of on your own throughout the day today. But also, we've got some great stories to share with you. Today is Heed My Advice, is what we call this one, where we really look at and analyze our history. So Ginny Wright-Peterson and Pastor Sherry are going to be chatting a little bit this morning about Peace's history, Peace's story here in Rochester, and the ways that it has and hasn't been the progressive place that we know it as today. Our readings are from the book of Ecclesiastes, which also has a unique history of its own. But before we get to that, Pastor Sherry, would you welcome us in prayer this morning?
It's good to be with you all this morning, and we gather in prayer. Gracious God, Spirit of life, here, there, everywhere, within, without, we thank you for this gathering today to bring us together, to learn about the past, to bring forth the lessons, and to share them with others. And through it out, that we may not be discouraged, may not be dismayed, but continue to find those bloomings of peace to all who enter, not only for ourselves, but that we can share for all. Amen. The Lord's Prayer today is going to be a little different version. Sometimes when there's great comfort of saying something from history that you have memorized again and again and again, it's a beautiful thing to have that. And sometimes it's nice to get something new, which I think this isn't maybe a few decades old, but it's from the New Zealand Prayer Book. So as we pray this together, see how it fits with what you have in memory. So we begin. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and all that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoes through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the earth. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. I'm going to have an introduction to the book of Ecclesiastes. It's a strange little book that speaks as much truth now as it did in the year 300 to 200 BC. Some things are timeless, and I've read it through a couple times. Wow. It's an old sage that is sharing thoughts about the life that he has lived. Some thought it might have come from Solomon's teachings, but no one's sure. Ecclesiastes can be translated teacher. So throughout the book, the teacher says, the teacher says. And it's sort of like this. The teacher says, I am wise, I know what's happening. I don't know anything that's happening. What's going on? I have this world figured out. What the heck? How did we get here? Anybody recognize that pattern? And so it goes back and forth. And it's filled with contradictions. So if there's a time in your life you're confused and you're going like, read the book and you go, oh, I guess that's how life is. It's confusing. It's chaotic. We can't figure it out. I like one of the descriptions. They described the teacher as a realist who won't let go of God. So even in the times when he's still coming, he's still holding on to that God train and going back and forth and back and forth. We're going to have 3 different sections read today, and I'll just do a little bit about each one. But there's so many verses in there that are great for this morning. So I'm just going to share a few extra ones for you. And see if you find yourself in them. Don't find your neighbor in them, because that's not helpful. Find yourself in them. First one. And I imagine this man or woman writing their last will and testament and sort of going like, I don't want to leave them that. And so he writes, I hated all my toil in which I had toiled under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to those who come after me, and who knows whether they will be wise or foolish, yet they will have it all. Work hard your whole life, you turn over the things to the people to come, and you're going like, this is really hard. Next one, mortals' days are full of pain, and their work is the vexation. Even at night their minds do not rest. Whoa, that sounds familiar. This is also vanity. He uses the word vanity throughout the book, and that can be translated vapor or mist. And we're going to talk more about that in the mini message. So vanity, it's not this, it's more like vapor and mist. It has the beautiful Ecclesiastes 3, for everything there is a season. Another time, if you're feeling confused, open up to chapter 3. It's beautiful. Here's one more. Then I saw that in all the toil and all the skill and work came from one person's envy of another. This is also a vanity in chasing after the wind. Ecclesiastes talks a lot about chasing after the wind. That can be translated feeding on wind. Feeding on wind. We'll talk about that in the mini message. I got 2 more. Better is a poor but wise youth than an old but foolish king who will no longer take advice. Just putting it out there. And the last one I want to share with you, which really caused me to go, those who increase knowledge increase sorrow. Yeah, sort of like sometimes the more you know, the more difficult it is. So I encourage you to open that book sometime and just play with it. I'm going to be reading the first reading today, which comes from Ecclesiastes 2. So an introduction to this. There's sort of this frustration. The teacher's angry that whether you're wise or you're foolish, the outcome is the same. Doesn't think it's fair. He's really devoted his whole life to being wise and sharing that wisdom. And then the person next to him, who he has judged as the fool, they're both going to die, and what's the point of it all? So we start out sort of on a lower note here. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly, for what can the king's successor do? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads, but fools walk in darkness. Yet I perceived that the same fate befalls all of them. Then I said to myself, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And so I said to myself that this is also vanity. For there's no enduring remembrance of the wise or the fools, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How can the wise die just like the fools? So I hated life, because what it is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity and a chasing after wind. Yay! Okay. The song you're going to hear is the same as Ecclesiastes. I mean, it has the same sort of undertones. waiting for the world to change. It's got that same disillusionment, like this isn't what I thought was going to happen. From the song, they have a couple verses that it does sound like what I just read. We just don't think we have the means to rise above and beat it. It's not like we don't care, we just know the fight isn't fair. So enjoy this message from the wonderful band.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing. There's no way we ever could. We see what's going wrong. Oh, with the world and those who need it, we just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on their door. Now when you trust your television, or what you get is what you got, 'cause when the only information, oh, they can spend it all they want. That's why we're waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We just know that the fight ain't fair, 'cause we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change.
And we're still waiting,
Waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change.
Well, Jenny Wright Peterson is making her way up. I'm making my way over. Pastor Sherry's there. Throughout the last couple of weeks, we've heard from different people who have made an impact on peace or on whom peace has had an impact. How's that for writer speak? I can speak English. And today we're sharing with Jenny Wright Peterson, who's third generation here at Peace.
Yes.
And, well, why don't you introduce yourself, Jenny, to everybody who might not know you?
Okay, I'm Jenny Wright Peterson. Yep, I've been in the church since I was baptized, and there were some years off, like I've heard some of the other folks say when you get married, sometimes you're part of another church and you move out of town. I see the people nodding, and but I've been back for quite a while, and I'm excited that the fourth generation of our family is involved too. Chris is sitting here with us today, and then my grandchildren participate from time to time. So I guess we've got 5 generations.
Yeah, pretty amazing to have everybody here. But before we get to that, you've done a lot of thinking about Peace's impact and the impact Peace has had on Rochester, the community where we are. So,
I read the book. You have to show the book. I read the book this week, and I asked her to start with the introduction, the dedication page, because it's sort of puts everything in such a beautiful few lines. And then to just share a few of the things that really jumped out at you as you studied and researched and wrote.
Okay, sure. The book is dedicated to the Dakota people on whose land Rochester exists, and Sisters of St. Francis of Rochester, Minnesota, who transformed Rochester with their intellect, diligence, love, and values, especially in memory of Sister Ingrid Peterson, who was my mentor, and those in Rochester whose stories have not yet been heard.
Yeah, so I thought that was beautiful. So you said there's a couple parts that really touched your heart and you'd like to share with us this morning?
Yeah, and I appreciated what you said about the Ecclesiastes story, where like you think you know everything, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, there's a lot that I don't really know. And what I've found in my research is that the history can be so energizing and inspirational. I mean, maybe we sometimes think of high school history classes we had where it was mostly memorizing dates and wars and things. But when you really dig into the depth of the stories, there are so many opportunities to be inspired, and there are instances of sadness and disappointment, which we can think of as opportunities for reflection and reconciliation. So it's been a real journey for me. And my journey started, I didn't set out in life thinking I was going to write a book about the history of Rochester. It started with a book I wrote about the founding women of Mayo Clinic. I discovered over 40 women who were really involved in founding Mayo Clinic, and their stories hadn't been part of the Mayo Clinic history. And then that led me to a whole bunch of stories about women during World War II, women from Minnesota, and all of the amazing things that they did. And then my editor said, we're doing this series of books on cities in Rochester. Would you like to write the Rochester book? And I said, well, that'll be easy. Yeah. I can't believe I thought that. But again, having been born here, and my family, not necessarily affiliated with this church, but my family's 7 generations in Rochester, and I just really thought I knew it, but I didn't. So one of the first things that I discovered in doing the research was I came across the obituary of a man named Charles Jackson, who died in Rochester in 1897. And he was a black man, and his obituary was in the Rochester paper, which I thought was just amazing. And it mentioned that he was buried at Potter's Field at Oakwood Cemetery. Well, does anyone know what a Potter's Field is? A few people are nodding your heads. I didn't at the time, so it actually has a biblical reference too, but it's when everything was made out of clay, and things would break. And it would end up being the broken, unwanted, discarded pieces of clay. And in cemeteries, that's where people are buried that kind of unfortunately, I think society puts into that category. And what I learned was that at Oakwood Cemetery, there are 1,000 people. His grave is not marked. There are over 1,000 people in unmarked graves in a section of Oakwood Cemetery, which is surprising in and of itself, but my family's buried there. My great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, my husband. And I go to that cemetery almost weekly in the summer and have been doing that for decades. I had no idea where Potter's Field was. And so I went out there right away to look for that section. And I was really embarrassed and saddened that it is a huge section of that cemetery that has no stones, no upright stones. And those of you that know Oakwood Cemetery, it's almost all these really big upright stones. And here was a whole section with 1,000 people in it that I was literally walking by. And it just never occurred to me, who's here? What are their stories? And so that was one eye-opening, whoa. The history of Rochester and the history there's a lot here I don't know.
Is that one of the pictures that you had shared with us too, Ginny?
Yes.
That one there.
The one on the left.
Okay.
That's the big section. Those of you that know Oakwood Cemetery, I don't know if you, yeah, it's when you go.
And now, in addition to this aspect of peace here in Rochester, I know that Samaritan Bethany made pretty a unique impact when it was first opened.
Yeah.
Can you share about that?
Yeah, so after this in the 1920s, the Ku Klux Klan was really powerful and visible in Rochester. And that's a Rochester Flag Day parade in like 1922. And so at that, the sort of racial relationships early on were really tense. There was a lot of cross burning on people's yards, things along those lines. And in the midst of that, black people were not welcome in the hotels. There were 39 hotels in Rochester, and they weren't welcome until you may know the story of the Avalon Hotel, which had first Jewish people, then black people. There were a few guest houses, but when the Men's Fellowship of Peace Church built Samaritan Bethany, a few years later it became more of like a hotel, like it had that phase of its time, and black people were welcome there at the YWCA and a motel called the Deluxe Motor Inn, something like that. A few people are nodding that remember that. I think that was really brave and bold of this church to be inclusive in that way at that time.
Thank you so much. And there are so many stories. It's a beautiful read, and we look forward to when you tell more about the family history here. So we're going to go on to the next reading, which Dylan will be doing a little introduction about this, which again speaks to all of us. It's sort of where the time comes where the teacher begins to say, stop thinking so much. Just stop thinking so much. And because throughout Ecclesiastes, 6 different times it says, eat, drink, work, be merry. So he has to try to remember himself to live the life while and not be so consumed about trying to get all those answers.
Thanks, Sherry. Yeah, so this is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. What gain have the workers from their toil? I've seen the business that God has given to everyone to be busy with. He's made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds, yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. I know that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done this so that all should stand in awe before him. That which is already has been, that which is to be already is, and God seeks out what has gone by. Dave's going to share another song with us now that kind of goes along with what we've talked about with the reading that you just shared, that I just shared. And it's called Live Like We're Dying. And so I've got to ask about the tasks or the things that might be on your mind or in your heart that you're waiting to do. And to take that risk, is it a risk to take? Is it to tell someone something? Is it to leave a difficult situation, or is it to experience something new? And so we'll let the words here. You'll hear the chorus about 1 million times, so by the end, we do expect you to be singing along with Dave, okay?
Good luck.
If you can keep up.
Sometimes we fall down, can't get back up. We're hiding behind the skin that's too tough. How come day to turn it all around or throw it all away. We gotta tell them that we love them while we got a chance to say. Gotta live like we're dying. Well, if your plane fell out of the skies, well, who would you call with your last goodbye? Should be so careful who we left out of our lives. When we long for absolution, there will be no one on the line. Yeah, you gotta start looking at the hands of the time we've been given. If everything is something we've done to stop ticking. If every second counts, got a clock that's ticking. Gotta live like we're dying. We've only got 86, 400 seconds in a day to turn it all around or throw it all away. We gotta tell them that we love them while you got a chance to say. Gotta live like we're dying. Like we're dying. Oh, like we're dying. Like we're dying. Oh, like we're dying. We've only got 86, 400 seconds in a day to turn it all around or throw it all away. You gotta tell them that you love them while you got a chance to say. Gotta live like we're dying. You never know a good thing till it's gone. You never see it crash till it's head on. Why we think we're right when we're dead wrong? You never know a good thing till it's gone. Yeah, you gotta start looking at the hands of the time we've been given. If this is all we got, then we gotta start thinking. If every second counts on a clock that's ticking, gotta live like we're dying. Got 86, 400 seconds in a day to turn it all around or throw it all away. We gotta tell them that we love them while we got a chance to say. Gotta live like we're dying. Like we're dying. Oh, like we're dying. Like we're dying. Oh, like we're dying. We've only got 86, 400 seconds in a day to turn it all around or throw it all away. We gotta tell them that we love them while we got a chance to say. Gotta live like we're dying.
I listened to the words. I got a chance to say it. I love you. Okay, offering. Well, that's sort of a weird thing to say before I want your money, but but
Is this on? No. Is it on? Yeah. Okay.
Is this on?
So
No.
yeah. Okay.
What did you do to turn it?
I didn't do anything. I looked at it.
Okay.
So I'm Teresa Waldoff, and I'm on the council, and I have the joyful job of asking for the money in charge of stewardship. And this is Carrie Whelan. She's also on the council, and she agreed to have me interview her about giving to the church. And before I ask her a couple questions, I'll just say, you know, it's an ongoing challenge for churches to have their members give as much as they can. And for us to be healthy financially, it's something we all have to consider and think about and look at our own personal budgets and, you know, look at where we can stretch it a little bit to give more to the church so we can stay financially healthy. And so I have a couple questions for Carrie. And the first is, Carrie, what inspires you to pledge to Peace Church?
Thank you so much for asking me to talk about this today, Teresa.
You're so lucky.
Before I answer that question, though, I really want to thank Teresa because she has put a lot of thought and a lot of energy into thinking about the church finances. And this is a really important topic for all of us. So what inspires me
You
to
to pledge, yeah.
I did know you were going to ask this ahead of time, so I've had a little chance to reflect. And honestly, a little bit of it is somewhat selfish. You know, this church gives me so much joy. Being part of this faith community is such an important aspect of my life. You know, I have, a lot of things with work, family, friends, but to have this dimension in my life is super important, and that really inspires me to pledge. But I'm really also glad we got to hear from Jenny about some of the history of this church, because we are continuing to create history, you guys. And that's a big part about what inspires me to continue to pledge, because we are important for this community, not just for ourselves, for our own faith, but I think to have this faith community in Rochester.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Why is it important for all of us to make funding pledges, no matter how small or large, to Peace Church and then fulfill them?
Having been on the council, it takes money to run this church. And we're all in different positions to be able to run what we can give, but it takes something from everybody. Does that answer your question?
Yes. As
The
little
more-
as,
the
you
more
know,
people
we have
can
people that
contribute.
pledge this much, and we have people that pledge this much. And I love the people who pledge this much, because they're really stretching themselves. And the people who are pledging this much, let's stretch it a little further. Currently, we don't have a balanced budget, which is what we voted on last fall. We knew that we were going to run in a shortfall this year, but we wanted to keep the church running with all the staff we've got and pay the bills, pay the electric bill, get the trash removed, and keep the lights on. And we do have a lot. What would you ask of people who currently pledge, but how can they help us get to a balanced budget?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would say is the staff and the council have been very thoughtful about where our funds go. So when we're giving, there's a lot of thought as to priorities. What I would say is kind of what I'm also telling myself in reflection about my own family's giving. And that is, when I think back on times where we've sort of thought, goodness, can we increase our pledge? Can we give a little extra in a drive? And there have been times where I wasn't sure, but I've never regretted when we've said yes.
And we appreciate that. So if someone who's not pledging right now is thinking about it, but they haven't done it, what would you say to help them get there?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to sound like public radio or something.
They do have those pledging things going on all the
Yeah,
time.
and every time I did buy a couple cups of coffee this week, and every time I did it, I think about that little, people say, oh, if you buy a cup of coffee, just think about $5 a week or whatever would be just something. Like you said, we're all in different positions. It may not be even something that you can do on a regular basis, but doing something is valuable. And if you are in a position where it can just be routine, or it happens automatically, that's been key for us. We don't even have to think about it. It's just automated. If you're in a position where okay, this much can be automated, that is super helpful. And I'm going to maybe embarrass my parents here. I can remember growing up, attending a UCC church with them back in Illinois, and I can recall, the offering plates being passed, and I don't know if it was what the frequency was, but it was regular, whether it was once a month or every couple weeks. Seeing them put that check into the offering plate, and it was such a model for me as a child that really set the stage. And I think sometimes it's easy to have the electronic deposits, but we don't often see it, and maybe kids don't see it, or families don't see it. And so I think it's good to remember that as we continue to pass the plates, but people are giving in different ways, to just create some time, maybe to have some of those discussions, or to emphasize in the, maybe your family setting, what you give or how you give, because I think those are really important lessons for our community.
That's very insightful. Thank you very much. And that is the lecture for the day.
Thank you, Carrie and Teresa. That was very good. We're going to move right into the mini message. So anyone that'd like to come forward, you're invited to. I think we might be standing today since we've got a lot of stuff going on down here. I have a couple props even. Any takers? Here's one. There we go. There we go. You can come over here. We can stand right around this little area. You're going to answer some questions for us. It's hard, too, really hard. What do you think that is? Steam, yeah, it's like vapor, a mist. So we're going to go to the book of Ecclesiastes, where it says two things over and over again. Life, they call this vanity. It's like a mist. And life is like chasing after the wind. All right, so now please tell us what that means. Let's think, what does it mean? Try to think about this. If this is life, or this is life, and I'm trying to chase after it, what does it mean? Is it possible? Can you catch this? Can you try to catch it? Maybe in a jar. You can. It's hard to see. Yeah. I think there's a good answer there. Life makes you joyful if you try not to figure all this out. It talks about being wise. So I wonder if there's somebody out there. Are there any sages out there? And there's no wrong answers to this. That's what Ecclesiastes tells us. There's no wrong answers. What does it mean to you to hear life is like a mist or wind? Who's got something for us?
I got something. It's unpredictable. You can try and catch it, but then life will throw you a curveball and you're chasing it again.
Unpredictable. Any other words up here to describe this? Mystery. I think it's fun to play with. I'm going back to the play part. Any other words you want to throw up for this Ecclesiastes adventure? Ever changing, ever moving. Sometimes stagnant. Everlasting. You guys are all so wise. Anything from the teens?
Teens are less wise than us.
Something. What does it mean? Is each day of school going to be the same? No. Are your relationships going to stay the same? No. Well, sometimes that's good. That's faith. That'll go away after a while. So, no, it won't. That's what faith is. You just don't know. So this is what we're talking about today, this beauty of life, and to play with it and to not try to hold it too much, but sometimes that works. So we'll have a prayer. I'll say a prayer, and then you can echo after me. Dear wind, dear vapor and vanity, thank you for keeping us confused. Thank you for keeping us on our toes. Thank you for love always being with it all. And a big amen. Okay. Thank you for coming forward and sharing your wisdom. Back to your seats, everyone.
Come and
Dave,
see.
now they can sing.
I
I
could
was,
sit back there.
yes, but they can't.
But they can sit up here?
This is a sing-along
Oh, thank
song.
you.
That's why I was really,
My head were closed.
I was
I couldn't
really
see
trying to drag it out.
What's going on? No, thank you. I should have waited for your lead. I thought you were going to let. Okay. Let's try try this again.
Come and seek the ways of wisdom. She who danced when earth was new. Follow closely what she teaches, for her words are right and true. Wisdom clears the path to justice, showing us what love must do. Listen to the voice of wisdom, crying in the marketplace. Hear the word made flesh among us, full of glory, truth, and grace. When the word takes root and ripens, peace and righteousness embrace. Sister wisdom, come assist us, nurture all who seek rebirth. Spirit guide and close companion, bring to light our sacred worth. Free us to become your people, holy friends of God and earth. All right, Ginny and Sherry, we're making our ways back over. We got a lot about Rochester in your first conversation there, Ginny, but now it's time to get personal, right?
We love that.
We do love that. So I guess I'll start with the first question, and Sherry, jump in. Your grandma found this church, and I guess I'm curious about that story, and curious if your grandpa also attended.
So, yeah, as inclusive and welcoming as this church is, I didn't realize that inclusivity was part of our church becoming, or our family becoming a member of the church. My grandparents were German, last name Schultz, and they came to Rochester in the 1920s, and they were married in Spring Valley in my grandmother's parents' home. And I haven't found the marriage certificate to find out exactly who signed it. But when they moved to Rochester, my grandmother was not welcome at my grandfather's version of the Lutheran Church. She could not be a member. And so she did not attend church, as I understand it. And I didn't even know this story. My mother just told me a couple of years ago. She didn't have a church, but when my mother was born, she decided she needed a church home for her daughter, and they lived over by Northrop School. And so she walked with 3-year-old, my mother, at 3 years old, to the church where this Cornerstone was, now right next to Samaritan Bethany, on the corner there where the gas station is now, where this church was at first. And they were welcome. And so my mother started attending Sunday school at that time, and and stayed with the church. She, I remember my grandfather did not attend this church, and I don't know that story. And again, this is one of those things where didn't hear the story soon enough, didn't ask enough questions, but he didn't attend the church. But my grandmother, and then my mother. My father came on Easter and Christmas and things like that. So then my mother came. Many of you knew my mother, Marlis Schultz Peterson, and brought her 4 children. I'm the oldest of 4. But I remember in particular, too, being confirmed here, standing up here, and my grandmother I have been sitting about where my grandmother used to sit. And she looked up, and at that time, I know her vision wasn't very good, and I don't know if it was cataracts or what, but I just remember her sitting there and looking up and just seeming so happy to see, but she wasn't really seeing, but knowing that I was up there being confirmed, and then my siblings followed. And now if she knew that 2 more generations were still a part of this church, that's quite a legacy for her to take her daughter by the hand and walk the several blocks to a church that would welcome her.
Any other stories since you've been a member that you want to share with us at this time?
Just a lot of gratitude. I will add on to what Linda Bradley, I don't know if I see her here today, but when she talked the other week, she talked about her mother being frustrated that women couldn't join the church council. I remember, and there are probably people sitting here too, women couldn't be ushers either. So it was a very, from that standpoint, a very male church, and that, of course, has changed quite a bit. We have obviously a lot of women on council, women that are president of the council. So that's I'm just an awful lot of gratitude. And again, it gets back to stories, trying to find the stories, know the stories, and those that we can celebrate and really be inspired by. And then when there are gaps, finding ways to learn and reconcile.
I think your story about seeing your grandmother's kind of face, to me, what I'm learning about Peace's history, what I'm thawing out, I guess, is that this place has always been a place of joy. I mean, you saw joy in your mother's face, and so what other joys have you experienced here, just kind of like your grandmother did, watching you?
Well, I think my joy, it comes just a lot from seeing a lot of diverse people coming together, and this church standing up most recently in the social justice arena, and very most recently around the impacts of ICE and the immigration enforcement, and how the social action team, who does a lot of support of a lot of organizations throughout the years, still found a way to step up and help families that were really being impacted because they couldn't go to work, they couldn't get to school. And being a part of that, I think that's now what really brings me a lot of special joy at Peace.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. And Sherry, you kind of found some joy the other day.
I have a story. I was out in the entryway there, and there was a repairman here fixing some things in this home that we have. And he finished in about 2 hours, and he stood outside the sanctuary doors, right by the sign that says, "Peace to all who enter." And he just stood there for quite a while looking in. And then I saw him take off his hat, walk in and sit in a chair, and for 10 minutes he was in this sanctuary, this place. And then he left, and I thought it was just such a beautiful story to see a person take time to do that and to honor a place that he probably didn't know much about. So I ran out to the parking lot, and I said, "I'm Pastor Sherry. Could I share your story some Sunday? I just thought it was a beautiful thing." And he looked at me, and his eyes started to water, so I knew that there was some truth that we were about to share. And he goes, "When I saw on my work list that I was going to a church, I was hoping there'd be a pastor there. Because I have a story that I've been holding, a story where forgiveness is needed." And so I sat in there and I shared my story. And he started to sound lighter as he's telling me the background. So we're both got tears in our eyes. And then I said, "Is there anything else you'd like to share?" A few more words, and then I asked permission to share with him. He said yes, and the grace gates just blew open. Did you do that, Steve? Okay, so I let him have it. All the love that I've been given throughout the ages, all the things that I've learned and unlearned, all of the hope and the grace and the beauty, I just poured it, because we both need that all the time. And let him know that you don't have to find the right words. You don't have to fit it into your schedule. The story that you just shared, it's already been healed. It's in the past. You are whole. You are loved. And I probably went on a little bit, but at the end, I just said, thank you for being open and sharing. It fed me. And he said, thank you for running through the parking lot to catch me. Peace to all who enter. So that's a history story that's current, that we are sharing that history. Somebody had mentioned that we're making history all the time. So again, thank you for this place where people walk in and they feel peace and that they are welcome.
Yeah, Pastor Sherry, I really do love that fact that you sought out the story. You did. You ran into the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I really would encourage all of us to do, is to find those stories where something seems to be a gap, or you have just an instinct, ooh, there's something here, to really, really pursue it, because it can be so rewarding, sometimes hard, but afterwards that reconciliation and joy that can come from our stories is amazing.
Pretty special.
That leads
Thank you.
right into the reading. I can turn this way or that way. Okay. So here's our last reading from Ecclesiastes. And this is where he's coming to the point, even with all the disillusionments, the uncertainties, to keep going. Keep doing the work, because we never know how it's going to play out, but God, love, knows how it does. It will be everlasting. It will stay. So keep sending out your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will get it back. Divide your means 7 ways, or even 8, for you do not know what disasters may happen on earth. When clouds are full, they empty rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. Whoever observes the wind will not sow, and whoever regards the clouds will not reap. Just as you do not know how the breath comes to the bones in your mother's womb, so you do not know how the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and at evening do not let your hands be idle, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. So that leads us into communion, sharing the bread with one another. We have another scholar that we haven't discussed today, a wise man named Bob Dylan. He also talks about the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Another way to look at it, his interpretation was that the answers are all around us. We just aren't listening. So that's another thing to bring. It's blowing, and the answers are all around us. We just aren't listening. So we gather to remember this meal that was shared by Jesus by thousands and thousands afterwards. That on the night he was betrayed, he took bread, he broke it, he gave it to his disciples and says, how does this twister tie work? So many miracles today. He took bread, he broke it, he gave it to all to eat, saying, this is my body, this is what's going to nurture you, this is what's going to help you on the journey. When you eat of this bread, remember me. In the same manner, he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it for all to drink, saying, this is the new covenant, the new promise of my blood, my very life blood given for you, so that you will know you are forgiven, you are loved, you are whole, you are innocent, you are mine. When you eat and drink of this, remember me. You're invited forward now. We have gluten-free wafers in this cup here. And if you please come down the center and then return to the sides. After receiving the meal, again, we gather in gratitude, prayers of the people. Whatever concerns have been brought into this building, we pray for peace to be poured over them. Whatever guilt or shame or blame, we ask that they be released into the winds of grace and love and acceptance. We thank you for a communion meal, a time of communion celebrating, time of communion song, and learning about the history, where we've been and where we are going. Such a gift, such gratitude we have this morning. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Sherry. I'm just going to share a couple of things coming up in the week ahead. If you want to jot down next week's scripture, it's from 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 5 through 8. I put little Post-it notes in those seat pockets and pencils for you to do that, and I've titled it, Judge Judy. It's a passage about casting judgment. And also, did you know that Judge Judy didn't start her show till she was in her 50s? Pretty amazing. Then we'll have a conversation about Peace's history by the decades. Also, Ramona Traxel will be here on Mother's Day to share her story about sharing roses with us for the last many Mother's Days. We're serving tacos on Taco Tuesday at the Spark because it is Cinco de Mayo. And we've got Taylor Swift Camp coming up on Wednesday. In the narthex, you'll see Bob out there talking about Pride. Deborah's going to be there sharing about the quilt. And there's the history boards, of course. And finally, after the service today, in the social hall, the Hometown Opera Company is here with us. And so I hope you and the small people in your lives, the little ones, will join in the fun with that. I think they're one of the partners that rents the space from us here at Peace. And so as their way of giving back to this awesome community, they've put on a workshop that they do in the schools, but are giving it to us as a special treat. And it looks like they had a lot of fun today cleaning up out at Jefferson. So we've got a lot going on here at Peace, always something to keep you busy throughout the week. Finally, before we go, I'm going to share with you the hymn. It's number 359 if you're a hymn reader. It's called, O God Who Teaches Us to Live, and it was written to thank the teachers. And I think we can all appreciate a good teacher, or I hope we can all appreciate a good teacher. And as Ginny and Sherry have helped us learn from their advice based on history, let's sing to our teacher, God. I invite you to stand as Jenny makes her way forward, and I find my way back to the organ. Number 359.
O God, who teaches us to live and guides us on our way, for all the teachers in our midst, we give you thanks and praise. For love that welcomes children in and holds them when they stray, for knowledge hearts and souls receive, we give you thanks and praise. For wisdom, skills, and confidence, where wonder leads to faith, for those who hear, we give you thanks and praise. For all who follow teachings call with courage and with grace, to build a future for us all, we give you thanks and praise.
We have a dismissal coming up. We are Peace United. We care for everyone without limits. We affirm and embrace everyone. As they are and for who they are. We love our neighbors. As Jesus loves us without condition. We take action. Leading a movement of compassion and courage. We build our community. We include everyone. No matter where they are on life's journey. Amen. Thanks for being here. Good job.